So I am joined today by Carrie Carlisle. And Carrie, thanks for joining us today. It's really good to see you.
You
And,
too.
Carrie and I have been working together. So I've been supporting Carrie for a while, and we wanted to have a chat about why you came to see me, the changes that you've seen. So do you want to talk just a little bit about why you came to see me in the first place?
Definitely. I thank you very much for a start. I'm going to be saying that a lot today because you've completely changed my life. She doesn't like you saying that, but it's true. I did the lightning process. Oh my gosh, a super long time ago. And my practitioner does other work now. And I was in I don't even think crisis is too strong a word. I was in a really, really bad place during lockdown. That's original, but I really was. I had a very small child. We had moved into my mother's house. There were four of us living in one bedroom, myself, my husband, and our two children, one of whom is autistic. And then lockdown kept happening and happening, and I just couldn't cope. And I thought, oh, I'm going to try doing a lightning process myself, and I just wasn't getting that objectivity of what I needed from it. I didn't quite know what the problem was, so I was putting in the search engine, and your name just kept coming up and kept coming up, and I was like, oh, this is the lady for me. And I thought, right, I gave you a call, and you spoke to me that day. And then I had, you outlined all the stuff. I went, to you for about half an hour on a call that was literally not even supposed to be a discovery call. It was for my email address or something, but you listened. And then I got my first appointment with you super quick after that. And that was it.
Great, thank you. And so thinking about the key changes that you wanted to come and see me for, and then maybe you could talk a little bit about the changes that you did see.
It's so crazy because it's hard to even remember when you're not in that place anymore. So I used to break out in hives all the time, just these huge, massive hives all the time. I don't know if they were stress hives. And because I had them all the time, I didn't know what they were. And because of lockdown, a lot of time in my hands, a baby that never slept. So I never slept. So I had a lot of time to ruminate on that. And I just got to the point, oh yeah, my goodness. I got to the point where I couldn't eat without thinking it was going to happen. I couldn't even drink anything except water without thinking it was going to happen. I couldn't put anything on my skin. I was in this place of hypervigilance to the point where I couldn't function. It was just completely unmanageable. So I think I was in absolute crisis by the time I spoke to you, because I did not know what to do anymore. I didn't know what was real and what wasn't, in terms of how serious it was, and obviously, in retrospect, the physical manifestation was nowhere near as bad as the disordered thinking that got me there, but I just couldn't mask it. So it was almost a relief, but it was really scary, actually.
Yeah, I bet. And then, I mean, if I think back to the changes that you've made, they're completely phenomenal. They really are. And all credit to you, Carrie, because you really worked at
not
it.
all credit to me, because I got myself to that point and I met you. So no, I mean, that's where I was.
Yeah. So I suppose it's might be helpful for people to know about kind of where you are now, and what were the benefits of the work that we did together.
Oh my goodness. So I came about the hives and I was like, no, just want to do those, thanks. And then we did a what's it called? Okay, what's the word? We did a refresh session on the lightning process. So I did an official refresh session on the lightning process, which definitely helped, because I'd done it in 2008, which is about long enough to decide you know what you're doing. And I was doing it completely my own little version of it, which wasn't working. Got to do it properly. So you took me through that and relearned that again, which was really empowering. But then we got to work on the thinking and the phobias behind that. So why did I not feel safe? And why was I doing anxiety all of the time? And really what opened up after, and you always laid out how many sessions there were going to be. So I think I did 6 sessions initially, and then I wasn't ready then. I didn't want to stop. So then we did another few. And then after that, I wanted to do it on a weekly basis at one point, because I just thought I was just seeing so many results. And at first I needed that support, emotionally, I needed it. But then when it got to the point where, I don't want to do a spoiler alert, but it got really, really great. So then I got into a different phase, and it just seemed like I got to the root of it. But then I wanted to build myself back up, because everything you do is about empowerment. And I was like, that doesn't really appeal to me. I don't really need to be empowered. I'd never been empowered in my life. So it was like a foreign word to me. So I was like, yeah, let's just sort my hives out, I'll be fine. And I'm so pleased we didn't. I'm so pleased that that tailed off and did its own thing in the end. And I really got to the root to how I got to being 40 years old and having no autonomy over my life whatsoever. Just absolutely passively let life happen to me, not in a good way, not in a go with the flow way. So the best thing that ever happened to me was I didn't just stop after that. And this journey of just completely taking ownership of my life and influencing the bits that I can influence. And it was like, there were a few bumps in the road, and there still will be, but these lifelong habits that I had, I just don't do them anymore. It's brilliant.
It is amazing, isn't it? And so we talk on you know, in the work that we did together about living your most powerful life, and that's quite conceptual, it's very individual, but I wondered what that means to you now in terms of how you live. Like, what does it mean to live your most powerful life?
It's so lovely to know that I am the grown-up. Like, I don't have to ask another grown-up's permission to do things. I am the grown-up. And recognizing when I do a good job on something, we would do at first, this is another spoiler alert, but I know a lot of people do gratitude journals, but you would get me to identify things that I did in the day that made the day good, things that I did that to take control, and that really, really helped, that I finally started to identify, because I felt really useless up until that point. I felt like I was never a real grown-up, and I am. But in some ways, I just had developed these habits. Like, for decades, I wouldn't open post. I literally wouldn't open post, and it got me into so much trouble. But I just felt like if something opened and I couldn't do it, then what, I would just have to hide. So I'd literally just stuff. My husband was like, "What? This is madness. Like, what are you doing?" I'd hide them under beds, I'd hide them under my pillow, because I just didn't think that I could take charge of my finances, or not even my spending, but just bills that would come in. I just did not know how to do it. So I used to hide from them. And just even that was such a load off my mind. In fact, the post can come now and I don't get that, can't open it, which is just, I don't even know where it comes from. But there was no judgment from you. I always felt like I could tell you stuff and you'd never be like, wow, that's weird. Some people pretend they don't judge, but you were just like, yeah, sure, no problem. And you were so this lovely combination for me, because I quite highly strung, I would say, but you're this lovely combination of calm and confident and compassionate, actually, which really, really works. It's really nice, and you do it with a sense of humor and also sensitivity. So you're very easy to relax in front of and tell this stuff to, which is absolutely imperative, really.
Thank you. Oh, thank you, Carrie. Thank you.
It's true.
And I mean, you know that I love my work and I'm really passionate about it. And I see women like you who come and are so stuck, but actually are the most amazing, amazing people. And it's so wonderful to see you flourish. Really amazing to see you flourish. And one of the things that you and I were just talking about was the fact that you know, we're recording this, when is it, September 2022, and things are challenging in the world, and this kind of work on yourself, to a lot of people, can initially, or may initially, seem self-indulgent or not as important as other things. And I mean, I really get you've got to pay the food bill and got to pay the energy bills and your mortgage or rent, but my passion is supporting people so that they are really empowered and are able to go out there and thrive during the good times, also the bad times, but also to build their resilience so that actually they can weather any storm. And I'm really hoping that that's how you feel now. So good times or bad times, the ebb and flow of life, that you feel that you've got it.
It's so spot on, and I didn't even want it in the beginning, and that was because I didn't think I was worthy of it, or there was places that, not just money, although money's the tangible one, I need to put my money here or here instead, but time. Oh no, I can't take an hour a week to talk to Kate. That's, you know, I felt really I could be doing other stuff with that, not for me. And part of investing in me, well, it's all of investing in me. It's where it started now. I do invest in me way more than I used to, but I also earn more money than I used to. So I'm not scared of money anymore. I'm not scared of my potential. We have flipped a switch in my brain now where I can have a better wealth mentality. I have a better money mentality, where I can look for opportunities where there seems to be more time in the day. And for somebody who, my biggest thing, I mean, genuinely, the biggest, not phobia, but the most unempowering belief that I had, unhelpful belief that I had, was that I was no good at earning money, was that I could scrape by on the bare minimum and I could achieve other things in life, but not that. So really working on that has helped me earn more money, which I am very pleased to put back into learning how to do other stuff, because the more empowered and flexible in my thinking I come, the better I can be long term. So the amount that I've put, I'm no maths whiz, but the amount that I've put into our sessions versus the amount that I've earned as a result of them, there's just no comparison at all. It's just, it is literally an investment, like, for me. Also, you know, I'm not medical at all. I don't have any, my husband, I don't have any qualifications like that. We're speakers, we're corporate speakers, we're those sort of people, and we work a great deal talking about mental health, and a lot of the people we meet talk about mental health for a living, like that's how we earn our money. And there's also almost this, I hate the word stigma, but there's this real reluctance to admit that you get help. This real reluctance to admit, oh, well, I've got to pretend I've got it all sorted. Well, that it only works for so long. It really only works for so long. And I'm not someone that's ever been averse to talking about how I felt, but I should have known that it had gotten unmanageable way before my body started breaking out in hives constantly, way before I became so phobic about food. I stopped being able to do anything with it. You know, these intrusive thoughts, it shouldn't be embarrassing for people that are in that arena to talk about. And I think that it's all right to do it on the quiet. I honestly do believe that you don't have to tell everyone that you're doing it, but to actually not have that almost arrogance, you know, myself I'm talking about here, that arrogance of, yeah, I've got it sorted, I'm fine, because everything that we think of is subjective and we think it's a fact, don't we? We all need that objectivity. I know I need it now. I question everything. I question any belief that makes me feel bad or isn't helpful or keeps me small. And to have you to do that with is oh, well, it is priceless. It is priceless for me. So yeah, of course. And to be quite honest, like, if I had more than 2 sessions with you and didn't figure out a way to pay as a self-employed person who of course is very blessed, I'm really blessed, you know, my husband had a great career as an athlete, and we get to be flexible in our work because of that. But if somebody in my position who honestly doesn't have to work 12-hour shifts at a minimum wage, if I left my sessions with you thinking that I couldn't do more to earn more, then I wasn't listening to you. And I was so resistant to listen to you at first. I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to hear that I could be more, because there was almost that grief of, my God, what was I doing for all those years before? She would say was unhelpful, obviously. In fact, I have a Kate in my head.
Probably, I'd probably say that's really understandable, but unhelpful.
I would be very compassionate. I have a Kate in my head now, and I'll go and have a small thought, or a thought that takes me down an old path, and I'll hear you go, okay, not helpful, or is there another way that we could look at that? Or I have a Kate that's very nice melodic voice. So
the power of the reframe is really important, isn't it?
And I've learned, what's great is, it's not, the talking is good and the releasing of stuff is good, and I've had some really emotional sessions, but you give tools, you give practical tools, and once I start putting those tools in, and like, you have to do your homework, Kate. Don't be thinking that you can't do your homework, because I tried to not do my homework for the first few weeks, and she was just like, no, we're not moving forward until you do this, in a nice, compassionate way. So you know, you do have to put the work in, which is great, because then you can take ownership. Whereas if you'd given me a pill for my hives and sent me away after a day, I could never have evolved into this person that feels like they finally deserve a nice life. Like, I finally deserve a nice life. I'm 42 and I finally deserve a nice life.
And you really do. Yeah. And there's so many other people in that same place, you know, in the place that you were in different kind of manifestations, but not really recognizing that there are things that they might be able to influence to have a brilliant life and to feel really empowered in their life. And you know, that, I mean, that was me as well. That's why I do what I do, because that's exactly how I used to feel. So that's great. Sorry.
I just love that it's not like I'd see you for one session a week, but there were times when it was really like, life happened, stuff I couldn't influence, that was really traumatic, some of it, and I knew you were there. It was never just a case of, right, I'll see you on Friday. It was, you checked in daily, or do you need to see me more than this, or you know what, you never ever dial it in. you were always completely 100% invested, to the point where and I'm sure everyone else that you work with, feels like you're the only person that you see, literally. Like, how can she just have one client? I don't understand. But I feel like I am honestly the only person. You make us feel like we are the only people, which is just like, to have that attention as a person, as a carer, as a mother, as a wife, as someone whose attention goes a lot of different places. It's lovely to have that on you, isn't it, for an hour? It's lovely to be like, oh, I'm the center of attention. It's nice.
I'm really glad that that's what your experience.
It's been lovely,
really,
and it's evolving, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like there is no ceiling now. And before I was like, oh well, I'll just be a little bit happier, but that's it. Don't need to get carried away with this. And there isn't a ceiling now. I guess I can just keep going and going, and it means that I can bless other people as well, who aren't, you know, who don't have the same circumstances as me or as a lot of people, and that know the meaning of the word struggle. Because I know I'm talking about, you know, an emotional struggle, but I know there are people who are struggling to survive right now, financially, emotionally, physically. And the more empowered I get, and the first time that you manage to help someone, oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah,
like you can actually help someone. Like you can just something silly like pay for a stranger's shopping, and not Instagram it, because you don't need to, because you've got self-esteem now, because you're so okayed. But
yes,
that is what's different for me. I never thought of myself as someone that would be able to help other people, and that have it come from me, because I've managed to bring a bit more in. So that really made me change how I saw myself as well. And that's probably the biggest change that I would never have saw coming, like just how many other people that you get to help, and what a buzz that gives you, and how that can really reshape your world. So that, you know, because when you've got health anxiety, and when you do house, and when you do all that, it's very insular.
Yeah,
you become a little bit, even though you're caring for everyone else, your thoughts are like me, oh my body, oh body checking, oh this, oh that. But when you get all of this sorted, there's so much more room to give your time, give your energy, give financially, whatever, to other people. And I never had that before. I never had that little bit extra, and it's transformative, honestly. That makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It makes complete sense. And I think if you're really stuck, then if you're giving, it can feel like people are taking, and so your experience is completely different. But actually, once you are self-validating and all the things that we kind of worked on, then actually it does feel like giving, because it feels like you have a choice, and people aren't trying to take a piece of you. You've got the capacity to give, and you want to. So I think that's really amazing as well. Brilliant. Okay, so Carrie and I could talk forever. But
I just want to say one more thing.
Say one more thing.
One more thing, that my my husband has had mental health issues, clinical diagnosis, and that can be a really uncertain thing to live with, that you can't change. I can't change his diagnosis. I can't change if he's going to be well or not. And one thing that really didn't seem obvious at first, because I thought it would be all about me, my physical health, and working out my anxieties, you were really good at giving me coping strategies to help. So if Clark was in an episode, or if he wasn't feeling great, or I just was anxious in case he might be feeling bad, the living in the future and the what ifs, you were really good at giving me tools to help with that, and they're tools that I can take with me every single day, because that's where my energy went on a lot of the time. So he definitely feels the benefit, because I'm not constantly like watching him to see if he's okay when the poor bloke just wants to go to the loo. So thank you for that as well, because I think having therapy that then enables you to help someone else, the relationship of your life that you're in, I can't put a price on that either. I really can't. I feel like I'm living now instead of just existing and watching.
It's really powerful. Really
powerful now, Kate.
Well, I know that. You always were though, Carrie. You always were. Now you're just kind of using it in a more helpful way.